kita tidak akan mudah tertipu oleh tuduhan palsu dari orang-orang murtad atau dari media. Berita yang tidak benar sering disebarkan selama masa perang. Saudara-saudari, kita sedang berperang. Kita harus berjuang keras demi iman kita, karena hal ini menyangkut kehidupan kita.
For those of you who don't know, I was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I was born into it, and I was raised as a witness all the way until I was 18. When I turned 18, I chose to disassociate myself from the religion. As a result from that, I disassociated myself from my family as well. When you're in the religion, you're only allowed to associate with other Jehovah's Witnesses. Even in school age, you're not allowed to have friends with any person who's not a witness. That means no one can come over to your house. You can't talk on the phone to them. You can't go anywhere with them. You're only allowed to speak to them and see them when you're forced to during school hours. So the only people you're allowed to be friends with are Jehovah's Witness. Now it's kind of a setup, because then you'll end up in my situation now. Once you choose to leave the religion, you'll be left with no one to talk to. And this is really sad, because a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they get caught up in the trap this way. And this is kind of how they keep you. It's very cult-like. You know, when I was growing up, everyone used to tell me, you're in a cult, you're in a cult. And I never understood it. You know, I used to actually be offended. I used to be, thinking to myself, well, how is this a cult? How is that? And I understand now, because you're only allowed to speak to witnesses. Only. They're the only ones in your life, period. And then once you leave that religion, you're left with no one. And a lot of people have to go through this. It's heartbreaking. It's very lonely. It's very hard. You have to be a very strong person to go through this. You feel like you're left out in the world with no one.
I just wanted to talk to you about the fear of Armageddon. It's one of the central doctrines of Jehovah's Witnesses, and that fear of Armageddon is something that I've lived with all my life. There are pictures, numerous pictures in the literature of fire raining down from the sky and killing people, and one of the other images that they love to use is of earthquakes opening up in the ground and people tumbling down. So as a sensitive child who thought everything through, this affected me deeply. I used to be afraid that my lovely house and garden that I'd grown up with and loved dearly, I was very settled, that when Armageddon came, a gigantic earthquake, a chasm would open up and swallow up our house and garden, used to really upset me. So I'm so glad that I'm free of that fear that I had.
Seberapa berbahayakah propaganda? Dalam artikel ini, propaganda memaksudkan informasi yang melenceng atau menyesatkan yang digunakan untuk membohongi orang-orang atau mengatur cara mereka berpikir dan bertindak. Menurut buku Propaganda and Persuasion, propaganda itu tidak etis, berbahaya, dan curang. Propaganda juga disamakan dengan kebohongan, penyimpangan, penipuan, manipulasi, dan pencucian otak. Propaganda sangat berbahaya, karena itu bisa perlahan-lahan memengaruhi cara berpikir kita, bahkan tanpa kita sadari. Itu bisa disamakan seperti gas beracun yang tidak terlihat atau tercium. Vance Packard, seorang ahli dalam perilaku manusia, mengatakan, kebanyakan dari kita mungkin tidak menyadari bahwa kita sudah sangat dipengaruhi propaganda. Menurut ahli lain, propaganda menyebabkan orang-orang melakukan perbuatan yang sangat kejam dan tidak masuk akal.
Saturday, it was our turn. We had to meet at this one really big kingdom hall where like 2 or 3 congregations would be gathered, and then we got this talk from the society, and it was like an hour talk, and then we all got a free Bible, the Great Silver Sword, and we were so excited. I remember walking out of there holding this Bible like I was holding solid gold. It just felt so wonderful to me, like Jehovah was speaking to me through this Bible, because that's how good that talk was. But there was something odd about the talk, and it struck me odd that we were only supposed to quote from the new Bible at our Kingdom Hall during the meetings. We were specifically told we could not quote from even the old New World Translations. We had to quote from that one, from the new one. And I thought that was really odd, because up until then we were always allowed to quote from other Bible translations, but not to even use the old one. I thought, wow, I couldn't believe it. I thought that was really odd. Why was that? Well, at the time, I didn't realize it was in a cult. I mean, I knew it was dangerous because we couldn't have blood transfusions, but I didn't think of it as a cult. I'm on the JW Online Library, and I'm going to click on Bible. And look at all these different Bibles that they can quote from. All these different Bibles, that it makes it look like they can quote from it anyway, doesn't it? It makes it look like it. They put it on their website like you can quote from that Bible, these other Bibles, but you can't. They specifically said you had to use the New World Translation, and it had to be the new one, the gray one. Now the reason is because these other Bibles, even on their website, disagree with the New World Translation. Even though they have these Bibles on their website, Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to quote from these other Bibles at their meetings. They can only quote from the New World Translation, and it has to be the new one. The new one, see, it says 2013, has to be the New World Translation from 2013 that they quote from. And if they dared to quote from any of these other Bibles, which are on their own website, at one of their meetings, they will be counseled to never do it again. This is shocking. This is shocking to the rest of the congregation if they would hear scriptures like this and these other Bible translations, even though they're on their website. This is a cult. Only a cult would do something like that. They pretend like they can use these other Bibles. When I came into that religion, I was absolutely told that we could use any Bible translation that we wanted to in our meetings. Any of them. But now, no, they cannot. And when you go to their articles and you hover your mouse over those scriptures, every single time it's going to be from the New World Translation, and it's going to be from this 2013. They do not want you to have a 1984 large print edition, even though it's on their website. And they have all of those references in the New World Translation in that 1984 Bible. You are not allowed to use it at a meeting, or you will be disfellowshipped. That is a cult. And it's a dangerous cult, because you lose every friend that you ever had. You lose your family. You lose everybody If you dare to quote from these other Bibles, even their own New World Translation from 1984, you will be kicked out and shunned. Don't believe anything that's on jw.org when it comes to disfellowshipping. They absolutely disfellowship anybody that does something like that, even quoting from their older Bibles.
Kita akan membahas dua cara halus yang setan gunakan untuk melemahkan iman kita. Kemurtadan dan laporan negatif tentang saksi-saksi Yehuwa di media. Jadi pertama-tama, mari bahas tentang kemurtadan. Kita sebut itu racun rohani. Coba pikirkan tentang racun. Apa cara terbaik untuk menghindari racun? Kita harus kenali racunnya seperti apa, lalu menghindarinya. Nah, prinsip yang sama juga berlaku untuk ajaran-ajaran yang bisa menghancurkan iman kita. Nah, kadang ada situasi yang mungkin membuat kita sulit menolak bacaan dari orang-orang murtad. Coba pikirkan skenario berikut. Pelajar Alkitab kita dikirimi link tentang situs orang murtad oleh suaminya. Lalu, suaminya berkata kepada istrinya, "Coba lihat ini, nanti kamu akan tahu mereka seperti apa." Pelajar Alkitab kita khawatir, dan dia mau kita coba periksa situs itu. Jangan lakukan itu. Paulus berkata, hindari mereka. Jadi, kita seharusnya tidak membaca bacaan orang murtad atau mencari tahu apa pendapat mereka tentang kita di internet.
Freeze!
Meski hanya ada beberapa tetes racun dalam sebuah minuman, dampaknya bisa sangat parah. Orang-orang murtad sering mencampur kebohongan dengan kebenaran. Apakah saudara ingat Elifas, teman palsu Ayub? Sebagian kata-katanya memang benar. Mari buka Ayub pasal 5 ayat 13. Mari baca Ayub pasal 5 ayat 13. Coba perhatikan apa yang Elifas katakan. Dia menjebak orang berhikmat dengan kecerdikan mereka sendiri, sehingga rencana orang yang pintar digagalkan. Dia menjebak orang berhikmat dengan kecerdikan mereka sendiri. Kata-kata ini tidak asing ya. Kenapa? Karena Rasul Paulus mengatakan hal yang sama persis di 1 Korintus 3 ayat 19. Kalau kita lihat referensi silang untuk ayat ini di huruf B, itu merujuk ke 1 Korintus 3 ayat 19. Paulus mungkin mengutip kata-kata Elifas. Jadi kata-katanya adalah kebenaran. Tapi bagaimana perasaan Yehuwa tentang kata-kata Elifas secara keseluruhan? Mari buka Ayub 42 ayat 7. Dan lihat bagaimana perasaan Yehuwa. Ayub 42 ayat 7 mengatakan, setelah Yehuwa mengatakan semua itu kepada Ayub, Yehuwa berkata kepada Elifas orang Teman, "Aku marah kepadamu dan kedua temanmu. Kalian tidak berkata benar tentang aku, tidak seperti hambaku Ayub." Jadi kebenaran dicampur dengan kebohongan.
Freeze!
Mari bahas tantangan kedua yang kita hadapi. Laporan negatif tentang saksi-saksi Yehuwa. Beberapa orang percaya semua yang mereka baca di koran atau yang mereka lihat di TV. Apakah saudara seperti itu? Coba pikirkan. Saudara sedang mengabar. Lalu penghuni rumah bilang, kalian saksi-saksi Yehuwa itu kejam. kalian membiarkan anak-anak kalian mati. Kalian tidak menerima perawatan medis. Lalu saudara tanya, apa ada saksi Yehuwa yang Anda kenal secara pribadi? Tidak. Jadi, kenapa Anda bilang kami membiarkan anak-anak kami mati dan kami tidak menerima perawatan medis? Lalu penghuni rumahnya bilang, saya dengar itu dari seseorang yang saya percayai, atau saya baca itu di koran. Nah, kalau itu ada di koran, apa itu pasti benar?